can guess that frequency. Is there a note in there somewhere?
Oh.
There's no note in that whatsoever. There's a frequency, but there's no note.
Yeah.
I was there, wasn't I?
Did you get E?
Yeah.
Is that what you were on?
Semitone up.
Oh, somewhere between
Yeah.
there, yeah. It's like just north of me.
Anyway.
Hello and welcome back to another take. My name's Marcus and this is Luke.
And today's guest in the guest field is a Grammy-nominated Dutch producer, writer and a guitarist. Having started their journey at the Abbey Road Institute before moving to Sam and then becoming freelance, they have worked on tracks with the likes of Chris Brown, Madonna and Little Mix. So welcome to the podcast, Gigi!
Hello.
Welcome.
Wow.
One take.
One take.
That was great.
We don't need another take. Oh, it's so bad.
Wow.
Oh no.
Do you say that every time?
No. Because that is the first time I've done it one time.
Genuinely,
Yeah. Rolled that one off. How are you?
Amazing. I'm great.
Good.
I'm very excited for this coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very
We can
interested.
We
jump
can
early
jump straight
days.
into
It's
that,
been
yeah,
sitting
yeah.
there for a minute now.
So, yeah, this is the coffee of the episode. So every time someone's in, we get a new coffee. We try and taste.
Yeah. I just buy a random coffee in the most interesting looking packaging I can find,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have some, and then generally we'll have a little game and see who can guess any of the tasting notes that they've put on the side.
Oh,
I
okay.
think only one
Have you
person's
ever
got
done this
one
before?
thing.
You-
No, never.
Okay, this will be good. These are quite tricky ones to guess. Some
You
of them
said
are
that
quite
last
vague.
time.
Yeah. I've not even tasted yet, but if you pick out two of these three, I'll be amazed.
Right, okay.
Okay. Let's see.
Think vague. Think like,
Like orange?
yeah, but like exactly that kind of thing, where it's... It's quite nice.
Soft.
Soft. Doesn't say soft.
Oh.
Let's say delicate.
No, it's kind of more...
Earth. There's something earthy in there. Maybe.
You say that every time. I think that's the coffee.
Right, yeah. It tastes like...
I feel like it's going to be like some kind of fruit.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You're right there.
I'm like, is it citrusy? I don't know. Let's have a taste.
Yeah. You can... No rush. I think more come out as it kind of cools
Strawberry.
sometimes as well.
Strawberry?
It's not strawberry.
I think I say that every time as well.
It is a berry though.
It's a berry.
Oh, a berry,
We're
really?
getting close.
Blueberry.
It's not a blueberry.
Damn it.
Not a blueberry. How many more berries can we name?
Raspberry?
It is raspberry.
That was a guess, though.
Really?
I don't taste it.
Okay.
You get in the raspberry?
I'm starting to understand, like, when they say raspberry, I'm starting to, like, pick it out, but I don't taste raspberry, but I can
I mean, it
taste
kind
what
of...
they mean by raspberry,
Yeah.
but it's not raspberry.
Like if somebody made you drink that and you had to pick three random attributes, you could see where you might kind of end up grasping towards.
I kind of feel like raspberry actually makes sense.
Okay.
Now you've said it, I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
What are the other ones then? Let's see if we...
Okay, so the other ones are... One isn't like a flavour profile. Well, I guess it sort of is. Crisp. I don't think they mean...
Ready salted. Oh, I was getting ready salted there. Maybe cheese and onion.
Crisp. Like, I guess that you said kind of... Did you say
I said soft.
soft? That's not crisp.
Kind of the opposite.
That's the opposite. And the last one, which I don't think I've seen on packaging before, rosewater, which I think I kind of...
I don't know what
get
rose
hint
water
of.
really tastes like.
I mean, it kind of sounds off-putting. It's like rosewater,
yeah.
raspberry, crisp coffee. I don't know
rosewater,
about that.
crisp raspberry, yeah.
But
That's where we're at.
it tastes better than that
Raspberries,
sounds.
some ready salted
Yeah.
and some rose water all mashed up.
From Colombia. Great
It's
success.
the coolest
And this one
packaging
is-
you've had so far.
Yeah, concrete. A matter of concrete. I've never seen it before, but it caught my eye.
Yeah.
There were
That
a
looks
couple
cool.
of other numbers, like variations, but this one,
Yeah. There we go.
there was no reason.
It just felt right.
It felt right,
It just
Right.
spoke to you.
and now I will slowly drink it over the next few weeks. And
Yeah, you get to take it. I suppose this jumps quite nicely. So usually what we do is we get someone to leave a question for the last guest for the next guest.
Oh, cool.
And our
Okay.
last guest, Amy, her question was, what's your coffee making process?
What's my coffee making process?
Yeah.
A great question.
It is a good one, isn't it? It's an interesting. It might actually have to stick for everybody. Just I want to
Yeah.
know what everybody does.
I feel like you should.
It's a natural part of this kind of
It made sense, yeah.
yeah. Particularly if we've just gone through all of this. You're the first person we've done those AeroPresses for as well.
Oh, really?
Everyone
Wow.
else, I've kind of just had a cafetiere and done it that way, but we thought we'd shake it up this time.
Yeah, it actually feels like I can appreciate it even more because
Of the
of the
effort.
process.
Yeah, you've earned
and
it.
because of seeing you like do the scales and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
my coffee making process is actually so simple. I just press my little button on the Nespresso machine,
Yeah.
get some like oat milk, froth it up, put it in, and that's it.
Every morning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Different pods.
Um,
You got your one.
usually
you go
I've
to.
got the one from Nespresso. It's called Napoli. I'll have that one in the morning, and then any other time I'll have coffee, I'll take the one that's called Paris because it's like slightly lighter,
Nice.
and the other one's really strong.
So you got to start with something aggressive in the morning.
Yeah, definitely. Need the wake up moment. But yeah, I feel like as an engineer, I feel like a lot of people drink their coffee black, and then
Yeah.
when I don't know, I feel like now I'm doing less engineering. I started adding more and more milk. Like ever since, yeah.
You don't need to keep up with other people now. You're
Yeah, I'm like actually, it's fine to not just drink it black. But
Is it like
today-
how many coffees are you on a day? Are you on like an intense kick?
No, not that much recently. I think just two.
That's good.
Two,
Good
maybe
balance.
three.
Two good ones.
Yeah. I feel like
do you have a cut off a time that you?
I didn't used to, because like in the Netherlands, it's quite common to drink it after dinner, have like a little espresso or something. So then if you go out for dinner, it's like 10 p.m. and you drink a little espresso. But now, because everyone's always saying like, oh, I cut myself, like I cut it off like at, I don't know, 11 a.m. or 5 p.m. or whatever. And then now it's kind of gone in my head that I should probably also have a time,
Yeah.
even though I didn't actually feel it, but now it's just in my head. So
Yeah.
I just stop it
I think
somewhere
it's
in the
one of
afternoon.
those things where as soon as you've got a time, you stop. You can then never go past
Yeah,
that time
like,
because your
okay.
body is like, this is too much.
Yeah, it depends on like how your body's kind of used to it. I think now I kind of don't do after 2:00, and after 2:00 p.m. it's like I have to drink tea, otherwise I don't sleep. But that's just been a natural thing that's just happened, and now
Yeah.
I've ruined it for myself.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's
same.
not good.
I think I could sleep anywhere, anytime.
Right now.
Yeah, I could sleep right now. I could have a cup of coffee at 9:00 and go to bed and
No
problem.
Yeah.
no.
Just,
I'd
I
be-
kind of feel
The
that
sleep
actually.
wins over everything else. There's
Yeah.
No, not a chance. Not a chance.
studio with the best coffee.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this might be like divisive.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
Oh, that's a great question.
Like, where do you look? You go and you're like, this is okay. I'm gonna go, and I know I'm gonna get a good cup of coffee when I'm there, even whether they make it or whether they maybe source it from somewhere.
I feel like here it's been pretty good every time.
Here,
Yeah.
oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's SARM as well, but I used to work there, so I just make it myself.
Yeah.
So I'm biased.
Slightly biased in that one.
Oh, I need to pay more attention next time I go
Worth it
somewhere.
on a
Yeah,
list.
that's true. I also like when going to the Cube, they've got like a whole coffee machine situation
Oh,
there,
nice.
and
Yeah.
it's just like
Or like you can choose different stuff on it.
yeah,
That's very fancy.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
very
I've been-
exciting.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. I've been doing some stuff for Audible recently, and like going to their offices and their studios is like just any drink you can think of's there.
Oh, that's
All the
so good.
snacks, so
That's
good.
luxury.
Yeah, you guys need to get your own coffee shop.
Yeah.
That would be
Next time.
good. Yeah.
What would we call it? We need to tie it into the name.
Another press.
Another cup?
Another
No.
no.
We'd have to do if we did baked goods. We could be another bake.
That's pretty good.
That's good. If we did bread,
So we've gone from a coffee shop to a bakery here.
that
we'll-
does coffee on the side.
Yeah,
Another
but-
bake.
I mean,
and
it
a
kind of
bit-
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we could do it. We'll have a bakery and then but do good coffee as well. So you come in for your bread and a coffee.
Yeah.
That's a Saturday morning.
Sounded like it's going to take up quite a lot of time.
Well, we're not doing anything else. So we kind of ask everyone else as well, kind of what your background is, where you started, and how you got to where you are now. I think this is a question that a lot of people look for, especially people just starting out of like,
Yeah.
how can I get there? How can I
Yeah,
do
that
what they're
makes sense.
doing? So
I
Yeah.
think you're one of our first international guests.
yeah,
I think.
Oh well, thanks.
yeah.
Oh no, Richie.
Yeah, Richie. Yeah.
He's from
Okay,
Ireland.
second. I'll take
Second,
it.
yeah.
You're the furthest away.
Okay. Really?
I think so.
I don't know.
I don't-
The Netherlands are so close. Like,
It's all
it's like a 40-minute flight or something.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
So
It's not
maybe.
that far. Yeah. Well, how did you start?
Yeah.
Like, where did the passion come from? Because you play guitar, right?
Yes, I do.
So was that first?
Yeah, for sure. So when I, like growing up, maybe I started playing guitar around the age of 6 or 7 or so. And then I kind of just continuously did that. And then at some point, I think when I was like 12 or 13 or so, my dad got like an iMac for his work, and he just couldn't like get his head around it, like just because the buttons are on the different side of the screen. Like, I don't know. So it ended up in the living room instead of in his office, and I found GarageBand on there. And I was like, oh, what's this? And I kind of started recording like my guitar and kind of like playing with the loops on there and stuff, and just kind of like recording songs, writing things, and eventually downloaded Logic somewhere. I don't know how I got it, but I got it somehow. And then, yeah, I kind of just discovered production. And then when I was 18, I moved to London. And originally my plan was to be like a guitarist in a band. And then I was like, let me just think of a great plan B, because I don't know, maybe it doesn't work. I was like, okay, maybe it can be an engineer. So then I studied music production and engineering. I did that for a year at BIM in West London. And then after that, I studied for a year at Abbey Road Institute, also more like an engineering-focused course. And then like the plan B kind of became the plan A, because I was like, oh, this is actually really sick. I love this. And I was always doing production on the side. And I kind of just wanted to be more of a producer still. And then eventually, after studying, I just emailed loads of studios everywhere. I was like, does anyone need an extra pair of hands? I can make tea. I can like, I don't know. And in my head, I was like, I don't know, can I make tea? I'm like Dutch. I was like, do you add milk? Do you add milk to green tea? I was a bit confused, but so I sent out loads of emails. No one actually got back to me besides SARM. And then they were like, oh yeah, you can come in for work experience. So I did. And then I was there for maybe a month or so, and then an engineer left, so someone got promoted to be an engineer, and that meant there was like an assistant role free, so they offered me the assistant role. And then I kind of just was there for 3.5 years, something like that, and kind of just working my way up to being an engineer, which happened quite quickly actually, because it's like whenever someone wouldn't be there, or there'd be like a last minute session, they'd be like, oh, okay, you just engineer. And I'd be like, yes. And I don't know, I was kind of like thrown into the deep end, but that was really great. So it didn't really take that long to do a lot of engineering. And then eventually I met a lot of people there, because it was mainly a vocal recording studio. It's not really a lot of bands coming through. So there was a lot of vocal production going on and a lot of songwriting. And I met loads of producers there. And I was always producing in downtime, inviting people over and like writing songs. And then I met a producer called Izzy Beats one day, and we just hit it off, and I sent him like some like beats and loops and whatever. And then he used one of them in a session with Coffee, and that's how my first cut came out. That was a song called W by Coffee and Gunna. And then I heard that, like, it came out, and then I heard it playing at reception at SARM when I was just sitting at reception working. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, I was just on the radio, and then I was like, actually, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to just full-time produce now.
Nice, yeah.
So then I quit SARM, and then COVID hit. I went back home for, like, maybe 6 months or so, just producing in the attic, making lots and lots of songs and beats and whatever. And then when I returned to London, eventually I got signed to Warner Chappell, and then I've kind of just been full-time producing ever since.
Nice. How did you find that jump from kind of having the studio side and maybe that safety to like full freelance producing and writing? Or did COVID kind of take away a little bit of a scary period? Even though it was a scary period.
Yeah, I feel like that was actually... It kind of... I mean, it was a horrible time for a lot of people.
Yeah.
for me was I got really lucky. I actually really enjoyed being back home with my family because I hadn't been able to spend that much time with them since I moved out like years before. So it was really nice to be back and be in a safe space in the attic, just kind of like finding sounds and just like working on my craft, like, because what else was there to do?
Yeah. Perfect excuse to do that.
And it's just like so safe because you're not in a session with someone looking over your shoulder, like, what are you doing? So it worked out quite well, actually. And then, yeah, when I came back, I just started doing lots of sessions. So I feel like it was actually good timing for me.
So it's kind of been a couple of like opportunistic, good timing moments through your career with like someone getting back to you at the right time, that guy leaving there at the right time.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really, really lucky in general.
That's a kind of common story with a lot of people. Like everyone's just had a lot of kind of things line up. Yeah. Just from if you're there,
being around,
then things come along.
I think one of the biggest things is just making sure you are about. So when those opportunities happen, to be able to take them and kind of go with it.
Yeah, 100%.
Just by doing it, just by being there, doing it, sticking around. I think that's it. Then when those opportunities done, also if something changes somewhere else, you're ready to kind of take it, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's more that way than luck. I don't like saying it's luck so much. But
I think it's luck, a bit of both.
It is an element of luck, but you've got to be in the position for luck to pay off and kind of find you as well.
It's like making your own luck, isn't it?
Yeah. Or what is it they say? Like luck is opportunity meets preparation or something like that. I don't know. There's a saying somewhere there.
That's the perfect saying somewhere out there.
I like where it's going though.
Yeah. So it's the vibe is great.
Yeah. So I think it's like persistence as well.
Yeah, I think persistence is a massive one. I think a lot of people don't realise that.
I would say with your kind of starting on the guitar to where you are now producing, has anything changed in your kind of musical tastes? Like when you started playing guitar, was it what were you listening to? Have you kind of
like lots of? I was so inspired by like my oldest sister, and she listened to lots of like Scandinavian metal bands and like I don't know, like random, super random shit. Like so, I kind of listened to whatever I found on like in albums, but also on like LimeWire at the time. Like whatever my sisters had downloaded, I would just be listening to that. So it was a lot of like rock and like a lot of rock and metal. And now, I think when I then moved to London, there was like so much, like in the Netherlands, like Afrobeat wasn't really a thing at the time, or like there's lots more of that and R&B here. And then at SARM, there was like lots of like drill and like other like, I don't know, just like so many genres that I didn't necessarily listen to growing up. So I think that shaped me a lot as well, moving here. And now I mainly listen to a lot of R&B.
Do you think that kind of it all kind of influences it or feeds in?
Yeah, I think so. Probably.
You bring a bit of metal to R&B.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't really infuse metal in that much anymore. I also don't really play.
Maybe this is where it needs to be. This needs to be the fusion. R&B metal.
Yeah.
Just scream that line for me.
Yeah. I'm going to try that next time.
So what was it like kind of growing up in the Netherlands and stuff? What was the music scene like? What was it like at school kind of with music? Was it taught a lot? Was there a lot of opportunities or?
I mean, I'm from like a smaller town. There wasn't that much going on, but I was always in like bands and stuff, like little indie bands or whatever. I don't know. I found some recordings like literally 2 months ago, and it's so bad.
Oh, we should have brought them. Should have brought them.
Yeah, definitely not. But yeah, I was always playing in like bands and stuff, so we were doing maybe like little small festivals and things like that. But there wasn't like sessions and stuff weren't necessarily a thing where I'm from. There is like a city in the Netherlands where that's more of a thing. But I really didn't know about that at the time.
Is the music over there quite international? What's in the kind of charts in the Netherlands? Are they kind of
recently? It's been a lot of Dutch music actually, and I think before that it was more international. But now I feel like recently it's been a lot more like actual Dutch lyrics. But to be honest, ever since I moved away, I feel like my career just kind of started here, and I haven't really worked back home, and also not really kept up with what's going on there. So I couldn't really tell you, to be honest.
And we say that you went to the Abbey Road Institute. How did you find that? How did you find university as a whole? Kind of then going into what you've got into.
I thought Abbey Road was actually so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really great. I had a really great teacher there as well, Carlos Lelis, and he's like one of those people who can just teach anything and make it all interesting. But it was kind of like quite a fast course because it was like condensed in 1 year. But you really start at the start, like the first day. I think we mixed like this track I think we were only allowed to mix it using like levels. And that's it.
Nice.
And then the day after we could use levels and EQ. And then the day after it like was something where then panning could be used and stuff like that. So it was like really from that like basic, like, okay, we're back in the day where it's like only volume and then only like,
Yeah.
So it was like, it was like a good way to see music, I guess. Yeah, and it taught me so much about like consoles and I don't know, just like signal flow in general. So I feel like that course in particular does prepare people well for like studio,
like good practical advice
environment.
rather than.
Yeah.
I think some of them can be quite kind of theoretical.
Yeah. Yeah. True. And then if it's like just in theory, it's like kind of hard to visualize and to
Exactly.
actually then do.
Yeah. And knowing I don't know if they do much about kind of how sessions really run. That always seems to be something that gets missed sometimes. Where it's,
Yeah, they didn't really do that. No, I feel like that's like also just something you learn
once you get
probably
into
by and I feel like I learned lots being an assistant or an engineer. Like often people would hire an engineer in a writing session in SARM and not need an engineer. I'm sure that's similar here.
Yeah.
And you kind of just sit in the room and watch the song get written and whatever, and then you can kind of just be a fly on the wall. I feel like that's taught me the most, rather than, I mean, that's not really something you can teach in a class, I don't think.
Yeah, I think just getting in there watching.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends how you learn as well. I always got.
Yeah, true.
When I spoke to someone when I first like finished uni, he was like, well, how do you learn? Do you learn by kind of doing and making mistakes or watching? I was like, well, kind of watching. So went through the assistant route. But yeah, it's interesting to hear about your time at university. We've had like varying kind of what people think of their time at university, but I suppose it depends what university you're at as well,
and what you make of it too.
Yeah,
because my first course
well.
wasn't that great, but like at least it allowed me to be here and make connections and
that's the most
focus on
important thing.
music. Yeah,
just kind of going somewhere where you intend to kind of commit to a thing, whether that's going to a different city or doing something full time for a minute. It's kind of a really good process in your life where if you would working another job and then trying to ease into music, it's tricky where you get to a point where you're inevitably, I think the other thing you're doing will become so stable that it's hard to give up.
Yes.
I think that especially in university when you've got a lot of them, you've got access to studios and stuff like that. It's kind of like you've got to go off your own back to go meet someone and work with it. That's quite similar now to I think what we all do now, being like freelancers. So you kind of instill that into you early on, so when it kind of comes to that point where you're doing it in the real world, it doesn't feel as kind of daunting or as scary or as a chore. It's just like, oh, I've been doing this since I was at university.
True, yeah. And I feel like also like sitting in on the actual sessions, I was like, oh, it kind of just like lifts the veil a bit where you're like, oh, this is actually achievable, because you only, as a consumer or someone who wants to get into the industry, you only ever hear the finished product.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like really intimidating.
Right.
And then when you see it from scratch, you're like, oh, okay, that's how it
Each
starts, and it
step.
sounds pretty shit till it doesn't. So it's like kind of normalizing that as well.
Until it doesn't.
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm not there yet.
Yeah.
Still got to keep chipping away. So you're saying kind of you produce, you write, and you write as well, don't you?
Yeah, but definitely producing first.
First, right? So and guitarist. So kind of, how do those three now intertwine, or do they not, or do you do them separately as well? Like kind of how are they all helping each other in your process?
I feel like it's all kind of naturally comes together in a session, because you'll just like, I don't know, you'll just produce in a session, but you're also just playing maybe some chords and you might co-write, or like I do a lot of like lyrics with, if it's just me and the artist, I'll be more involved in the writing process. But if it's the artist, a writer, and me, then I'll be like, okay, let me focus on producing instead and let them do.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. That's something I didn't really know anything about before coming into the music industry, how it is sort of divided up in that way, with these kind of people coming to sessions with separate roles.
Yeah.
I think I just had no idea. And even now, like, because I don't do a lot of that sort of session, writing sessions, it's not something I'm super familiar with. But I think it'd be interesting to kind of delve into a little bit. Like, is it kind of when you go into those sessions, do you know what you're going in to do? Like, kind of your role within it? Is it kind of something discussed there, or do you kind of play it by ear and see who kind of fits into a role?
I mean, I feel like most of the time you kind of know what's going to happen, because people know, when people do a session with me, they know probably me more as a producer than as a writer. Like, it's usually said by management, or like, I don't know. That's
prepped in advance.
Yeah, they'll just be like, oh yeah, Gigi is a producer. And then X person will come and be the writer. So I feel like then it's already kind of predetermined. But then, I don't know, sometimes I like that, and sometimes I like it a bit less, because I sometimes feel like it's the artist and the writer and then me kind of secluded, where I'm like, I could probably also write, but like, it kind of depends.
Kind of reading the room.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of music and sessions is just reading the room, but I think as an engineer that's also, as totally. Anyone in the studio, I think it's like very much read the room. Like,
I think everything from the bottom to the top of the hierarchy is what we call. I think it is all about reading the room.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is. I wonder, like, are those kind of historic structures? Are those things that have gone? But I guess there always were lyricists.
Yeah. How have you found they've changed over recent years?
That production role is sort of a newer one, where you you can do everything. If you're producing on your laptop normally.
Yeah, most of the time.
So I guess that's something that only would have come out in the last, or been so prevalent in the last, I don't know, I'd be picking a number 10, 15 years, I guess.
I guess so, yeah.
Whereas you would have producers before, but it would be more kind of directing.
Like leading the band, or like,
you'd have programmers within that to kind of do certain things, wouldn't you? So
super interesting how it's all evolving.
Yeah.
Yeah, how do you think it's changed over the recent years, or the years that you've kind of been doing it?
I mean, because I'm 28 now, so I've had like 10 years kind of being here. So those are, I guess, the 10 like laptop years. Or like, I mean, it was before that as well, of course, but so I find it hard to tell. But I feel like a lot of it's also to do with like budget, because I guess like back in the day there'd be more budget for the whole studio to be rented out, for the band to be there, for the programmer to get paid, for, I don't know, everyone.
No, totally.
And now it's like, actually, cool, we've got a producer and a laptop, so they can be all the musicians in one thing. And I don't know.
Do you find they ever push that to be like, oh, well, they've got a laptop and they've been writing as well, they could do everything? And then do you feel like you have to come to the session with something? Or you never really put in that situation?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I don't really like coming to the session with something unless I know it's a session I need to bring something specific with, because I like for it to just be open. Because when an artist sends demos, a lot of the time their management or the label sent the demos and they're like maybe quite old, or you listen to their Spotify and they might be on something completely different. So I found that every time I did prepare for something, that it was kind of like slightly irrelevant, because they'd be like, oh, actually, I just broke up with my boyfriend, so like I want to write about this, and then instead of, I don't know, whatever they're making, they suddenly want to make a ballad or something. I don't know,
so like I've just spent 2 hours doing this for nothing.
Or just put it on loop. We'll just see if you get a vibe of
it. Literally. So
you sure you don't want this? You sure? Come on, let's be happy. Just do it.
It is interesting. I think it's kind of constantly evolving as well. Who knows where it'll go to next? Basically.
I don't know, maybe just typing a prompt into
ChatGPT. The new job is being the AI whisperer.
Yeah, you can code it, you can tell it what to do real well, so it comes out with something really unique.
Please make me a good track.
Please write a hit.
Please.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully not. But.
No, hopefully I know it's scary. Have you seen like an influence on your work with AI or anything like that?
For me specifically, or like in general?
Well, both as well, because we've kind of seen it with a lot of like mix and mastering plugins and stuff like that to come in and be like, oh, put it through here and it sounds great. Kind of thing. Do you use anything like that once you're like a track's finished to spend off to a label to
No,
sound
not
good?
really. No.
Good, you're one of the good ones then.
Well, I guess it's fun.
That was going to determine how this podcast went. It was either over then or we continue.
It's like, okay, I'll leave now.
Yeah. So you don't see anything like that kind of venturing in. Do you use any of the voice ones? Like if you're kind of...
I tried it out in the past.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's a bit weird as well. Like if you're trying to pitch it to like an artist and you put the voice of the artist on there, I'm just thinking if that was me, I'd feel so weird.
Yeah, because I've recently done it where I was engineering a track and like, oh, can you just get the vocal from this and put it in the track so they've got an idea.
Yeah.
Of like how they
stem separate sort of thing.
Yeah, but it's just like I got the vocal like an acapella and we put it in the track to try and like so the artist can understand how they feel, because the artists I was working with were like, we've spoke to people that really want to do it, but their excuse is always like, I don't know how I'd sound with you. It's like, this is how you sound with us.
Oh,
like,
okay. I mean, if you have the permission of the artist, it's so fine.
Yeah.
I think it's more like if the artist maybe hasn't given permission, like because some people are like, I don't know, Grimes, for example. I think she was quite happy for people to use her AI.
A split, right? I think.
Yeah, which I mean, fair enough.
Yeah, of course,
totally.
So I guess that's different if people already have given their permission for it, but if not, it kind of just feels so invasive. Yeah. Plus, I'm very lucky to work with people who can like sing very well.
Yeah. But I suppose you're not in a position where you're looking for people to get on the track or features and stuff like that. You go in and working with them anyway. Yeah. But I didn't know if kind of you go in, you do like a verse and a chorus, like, oh, we've got a second verse, but this is what you'd sound like on it, kind of thing. Yeah. That's the only thing. That's the only side. To see if like AI has kind of crept into your working really. We spoke about it a little bit.
It's coming. I think we've had more like
we've had more engineers and kind of probably more people leaning from the engineering world than like straight up production world. Yeah. So it's like we haven't seen it too much, I don't think, AI, but it's interesting to see from kind of
I mean, I've seen people use it as like to create a sample, for example, like a unique sample. I'm like, I mean, that works. I haven't tried it, but I've seen people use it
as well right now, where you can kind of you can describe the kind of synthesis sound you want.
I don't mind that. I think that's quite cool.
I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's all really cool.
But that's someone who's like rubbish at synths, so it's like easy for me to be like, oh, that's cool, but to people who are good at synths, that was probably sacrilege of just like, you can't do that. You got to make it yourself.
I mean, whatever works. But I feel like that's so different than asking AI, like, make me a pop song. Yeah. You know, versus make me a synth sound.
Well, yeah.
You know, because that's still very creative.
Yeah, you're still going for something specific. And I suppose you probably will still tweak it from where they give you it. It's not like you making songs with AI. It's scarily good. You're just messing around with it. But
it is like, there's some things that it's going to get better and better at doing.
Yeah,
for sure. I wonder where we'll see it kind of next, kind of creeping in. Whether you just hear a thing, you won't know whether it's AI or not.
Yeah.
Or we'll start to see things, I can't think of a good example, but something that's been kind of made with AI, and then someone might bring it in and say, AI made this, but now let's make it like a new version of this.
Let's get a human to play this part.
Well, this
instead.
is kind of like,
okay, yeah.
Do you know there was all those writers' strikes with in America?
Yeah.
I think part of that was that there was a thing about some people were getting AI to write a script and then getting real human writers in to do a rewrite, because a rewrite was a different rate to writing a whole new script. So then that's what they wanted protections against. So that imagine the same thing with production, where you generate a track or a beat with AI, and then you get somebody to come in and do like additional production on it.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it's kind of, because it's not entirely like, but we had the foundations.
Right.
So that's the sort of thing we should be all thinking about.
Don't be giving people that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I've already done it.
I've
got a whole business.
Giving everyone the idea now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a very real possibility, but I think the one thing you can't really take away is like, whenever I do a session with an artist, it's usually like a therapy session first.
Yeah.
And then we make music, and I feel like that's very much a human thing. I mean, I'm sure ChatGPT can do a therapy session, maybe, but I don't think it'll feel the same.
It's true. The experience of actually going through the creative process, I guess, is more can't be recreated in the same way that you could potentially create and generate tracks, but you couldn't generate the experience that ended up with the track.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take on it. I'm not going to
which would then lean into the experience of doing the track with somebody, then kind of has a consequence on the outcome of it as well, because of how you feel or how you feel comfortable with that person in the room or anything like that. I'll be a bit more vulnerable and maybe something real magic comes out, which is not going to happen with ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that you kind of usually start your sessions with a bit of a therapy session. Do you have do you kind of have a set process, or is it just kind of walk in and see what happens? So like your process of kind of, let's say meeting someone new, do you have like an idea in your head of like a process of how you're going to get that session started, or is it just kind of we'll go in and see what happens, and do you read their vibe a little bit more?
Yeah, I feel like it's mostly intuitive, but I think it all kind of starts with just making someone a drink. Like I don't know, just because I work from my home now, where I've got like a studio built in the garage, so it's like literally when people come over, it's like they're in my living room.
The espresso machine.
Yes, exactly. That's where it's full circle.
Do you want Milan or Paris?
Yeah, literally. So I feel like because it's already my home, it's already like my safe space, so I feel good in it, and I feel like that's like I already feel comfortable, so I think it's more easy to then make someone else feel at home and comfortable as well. But if I've never met someone, it's just kind of, I don't know, you can just read someone quite quickly. Like, is someone shy? Are they quite like outgoing? Do they look like they've been through something? I don't know. I think most of the time all you have to do is just kind of ask a couple questions and listen. And I don't know, I feel like if you take up less space of yourself, you allow someone to take up more, and then people share things quite quickly as well. So
and that helps you kind of get down to it and figure out what they want to do and write that day kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And also like kind of
to get something out.
Sorry?
There's a day when someone comes in, maybe you have a great chat, but it doesn't feel like you get to hours and you're like, this has been really good, but maybe there's not the music there today. Is there like a pressure that, we've got a day, so we've been chatting for 6 hours, we've got to get something done in the last bit of time?
I mean, I usually get something done in a session. Very, like, sometimes if I have known someone for a bit longer and I can just tell that they're really going through it, I'll be like, okay, let's just walk through the park. It's fine. Like, I feel like you might be a bit like overworked, like, let's just have a coffee somewhere, it's fine. But I feel like most of the time after the talking period, people feel comfortable enough, and then a song actually might come quicker than it would have if you just started right away being like, hi, what's your name? Let's write a song. What do you want to do? You know? So, yeah, sometimes it is like literally 3-4 hours of talking, but then it's like, I don't know, you kind of just divert back to...
I guess it's professional, isn't it? You guys
like everyone knows why you're there. And everyone wants to get some sort of result. So... I don't know, usually there's something.
Something does happen. I've heard stories of people just being sat there for hours and talking and not getting anything out, but I suppose that's a rarity. Like you say, everybody knows why they're there and what they want from it, so it's about kind of making sure that you both get on the same wavelength. And then you can get something done.
Well, that's it. Then there's people everyone's got a different approach. There's people who talk for days.
That's maybe a bit much.
Just like,
I've been a fly on the wall and a couple of them. It's not my process as well. Like I'm like quite organised and like, cool, we can chat.
We're like, okay, we've got 6 hours.
Yeah, we've got 6 hours. Let's go. The first hour we'll do that. We can chat, and then we can.
As you walk in the door, you're like, how's this?
Hi, my name's Luke. We've got it on the Etch-a-Sketch like Elf. Just like, this is our day planned. So you brought something for us to listen to.
Yeah.
It's like a vocal production.
Yeah, it's like a little like a song I did a while ago. I would have shown like recent demos, but it's, I guess a bit more sensitive.
Before we have a listen, where do you see a vocal production like in your, like as a producer? Do you think it's part and parcel? Because it's only kind of recently that the MPGs have kind of made that a category. Do you sometimes go into sessions being asked to come purely to vocal produce, or do you find it part of your process and part of your songs? Like, how do you see that side of your repertoire?
I feel like to me it comes quite naturally because I've been an engineer and it was mainly vocal engineering, so that kind of I fell into that. But I feel like not it's not for everyone and not every producer has to, but I feel like a lot of the time, because of the lack of budget, there probably won't be an engineer or a vocal producer available for most projects. I mean, sometimes there are, especially I guess in America it's maybe more common. But yeah, I mean, I do it every day, obviously. When you write a song, you kind of have to vocal produce it out.
So do you see it as a separate thing? Or do you just see it as part of you producing a song?
For me, it's part of
Yeah.
producing the song, because I'm less of just a beat maker. Like, I'm more of like a producer. But I mean, I do also sometimes just make beats, but I feel like it's kind of just part of the production and like creatively recording the vocals and stuff. I sometimes get asked to just do vocal production on a track, but I like that a bit less.
Yeah.
Like, I'll do it because it's like nice to get paid sometimes.
Yeah, I imagine it is nice to get paid, actually.
Yeah, imagine what that would be like.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Yeah, I'm less interested in that.
Do you think it dictates the rest of the track? Sorry.
Yeah,
So
no, definitely.
If you're doing like a specific kind of production on the vocal, that then it's important that sounds the way you might want it to at that point, so that you can then have informed decisions with the rest of your productions. Production around the track, around the vocal.
I feel like for me it's more the other way around, and also I guess depending on what the song is, what it needs. But I feel like maybe because I'm a producer first, that I try and make the vocals fit with the production more than the production with the vocals. But I do try and make the production fit with the song, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's obviously like a lot of like different ways to go about vocal production. Because I do have like an example, but it's like obviously very specific to that session. But I'll usually have like my standard vocal chain, and it's quite a simple one. Because I think it's more also about how someone feels, that you get the right take. The delivery is to me more important than the tuning as well, I guess, to most people, because at least the tuning you can do after.
Yeah. Do you think it's an important thing important that it sounds good to the artist in their kind of headphones while they're singing? Like,
100%.
Do you take certain steps to make sure that sounds as good as possible at that point, whether it's like you're kind of a plug and chain that you're using while tracking? It might change, so you don't get too much like latency and that sort of thing, but I guess it's always something you're probably refining to get something that works and gives that kind of inspiring sound straight away.
Yeah, definitely. I love for people to sound like the record while they're recording. So I'll always record with tuning on unless the artist tells me not to. And then I'll have like the majority of my vocal chain on a record channel. And it's usually no latency issues, as long as I don't use buses. So I'll just put like a reverb straight onto the chain otherwise, and then just like mix it in.
Yeah.
But with buses, it all just gives like delays and stuff. But I think that's like the most important thing, because then you get like the confident takes. Because if you record it dry or like without tuning or without reverb, or it's just really quiet and uncompressed and it's just a bit dead, like then I feel like the artist is probably going to lose their confidence, and then you're going to get like worse and worse takes, and I don't know. I don't think that's very helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, totally agree. I kind of think that was something I learned early when I started engineering vocal sessions, where for some reason coming up through engineering, because I think I ended up engineering or assisting on recording sessions like in somewhere like this, where say it's like a jazz session, you're not doing a huge amount of committed effects on the way in for things, kind of keeping things quite clean. So the process in my mind that the priority was to make sure it was kind of a safe, clean recording, and that how it was sounding coming out of the headphones didn't seem like such a priority.
Right.
But then through experience, I quickly learned that it is like how important it is that it's the what is coming out of the can sounds inspiring. I think it was.
Yeah, and you still don't have to commit to it necessarily.
Exactly,
like you don't have to, you know. But I feel like committing is nice too sometimes.
Yeah.
Like
you're a big advocate of committing.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
To specific things. Yeah. I think less is
Straight
more
to
a lot of the time, where it's like less like what I was saying earlier with like that having limitations sometimes is nice because you can kind of just get on with it and not get stuck on the little details, because that just slows down the process, and then I don't know, it just kind of gets a bit boring and long.
Yeah, I think
you lose
when
interest.
you commit it and you go with something, your next decision is kind of informed by that.
Yeah.
Rather than being like, oh, well, we might change that, or we might not. It's like, well, it's done. Like the bass is done. The bass sounds like what this sounds like. Cool. Well, the guitar's gonna have to sound like this, and it kind of every step is then kind of considered a little bit more. But by the end of it, it's more finished than it would be.
Yeah.
I find that then a little bit more inspiring, and people actually come away being like, oh,
yeah,
we've really done something today, and kind of to be like, well, that'll change in the mix, or I'll change that later. It's like, no.
Yeah, because I feel like that leaves room for so many options, and that might be limiting later on, because I feel like the best decisions usually, at least for me, are made like the split-second decisions where you're like, okay, this sounds cool, let's go. Rather than, oh, this sounds cool, but what else? What if the next preset or the next sound is better? And then you get into this hole of like...
Yeah, you just sat there going, next.
And then the person behind you is like, okay, but it's a bit long now. Like,
yeah, for sure. This might be a difficult question, but it's like you said, like you kind of try and get your production and vocals to work for the song. How do you define that? How would you explain that to somebody? Maybe that's just like in university or what, like who's just starting out. Like, how would you explain what you said there?
Well, for example, like lyrics, I guess, or like song content. Like if there's a specific lyric about, I don't know, something, maybe like a lyric that's more like about an insecure feeling or something, or more vulnerable feeling, I'd probably make it more dry, the vocal, so it feels a bit closer, and maybe no harmonies or no doubles, and they'd just be really intimate, for example, or otherwise like in maybe a pre or something, I'd sometimes keep the verses more dry, and then in the pre I'd like automate the reverb to kind of build like tension into the hook, or like make things seem bigger or smaller depending on, I don't know, it's just so it really depends on the song. Like if it's like a down hook that's more minimal, you'd treat it differently than if it's like a anthemic thing. So I feel like a lot of that is quite natural and will be kind of common sense when you get to hear it. Yeah, I feel like just listen.
I think it
and
is.
It's taste as well. It's like whatever it's so subjective to.
Yeah, for sure. And like what you're doing. Yeah, I say a lot of people talk things like that, and you're just like, well, what do you mean by that? What is your interpretation of that, of kind of doing it for the song? Kind of, I always like, I know it's a really hard question to kind of like answer, and because it's something you just do so naturally, but it's always interesting to kind of get people's interpretation of being like, well, you do it for the song, so well, what do you mean by that? What do you personally mean for that? Should we have a listen to this?
Yeah. All right, so the track I brought in is a track by Maeve. I made it with Maeve and John Clancy. It's called Hyperbloom, and it's out. It's been out for a while. Yeah, I thought I'd just play you guys maybe through the last bit of the hook, because I thought it was maybe an interesting one to show, because there's a lot of vocals going on, a lot of BVs and like little, like, I don't know, just a lot of layers. And then I was like, maybe gonna just talk a bit about vocal chains and that sort of stuff. So
yeah, let's
I'll
hear
just
it.
play it through.
You're so cool, eyes blue. If you
All right, so
There's a lot going on.
there's a lot going on.
It's really cool.
This is also
Really
not like
clear
the
as
whole
well.
final mixed version, so but
But it's still super clear.
oh great.
Yeah, sounds great. So yeah, kind of talk us through the process and the layers, because
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot going on. We've got the leads, and with leads, I love just recording 2 doubles and getting them quite tight.
So
I usually do
three in
like
total.
yeah, sometimes more. Sometimes I'll do like 4, but I actually usually just do 2.
so is
2 of the
is that
same
your,
pitch.
so you're doing the one down the middle and left and right?
Yeah, hard
Yeah.
left and right.
Yeah.
I always pan doubles hard left and right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, I just like it.
Yeah.
And then so I'll do like 2 where possible 2 doubles in the same octave, and then where possible 2 doubles either in a low octave or the upper octave if the vocalist can do that. And then on BVs I'll usually record, depends how much energy I have that day, but I'll usually record either 4 of each harmony or 2 of each. And in this track I've done 4 of each because it's just like extra, I don't know, it's just like extra polished. And
This is
it's
what
nice.
you would say is a vocal stack.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I didn't
Yeah.
realise I didn't really know of a vocal stack until I got into studios. Like
Oh right.
my
I thought
university.
you meant now. I thought you meant, and this is a vocal
This is, a
stack.
no, this is what they're talking about when they say vocal stack.
Hang on, I'm gonna write that down.
So your stack would usually consist of like 4 of each harmony, or
Yeah.
potentially 2 if.
Yeah. But if it's like a track like this, or
Yeah.
if it's like an R&B track, I'll probably do like 4 of each.
And what do you think? Like what's the outcome of that, or the aim of it? Is just to make it feel huge.
It's like extra. To me, it feels kind of smoother when if the vocalist is good and quite like consistent with themselves. It's like more smooth, and it feels more like a unit rather than to like a left and right.
Yeah.
It feels a bit more disjointed to me. And then when I do have the doubles, the 4 doubles, I'll usually pen 2 of them a bit more inwards. I don't know, I just feel like it makes a big difference in the sound. But not if the artist isn't good at harmonies. Then I'll just do 2.
Are you ever like
Or
are you lining them up with like Odeal? Not what's the one called, the vocal line.
like vocal
or
line.
that kind of thing?
Sometimes I do like it when it's like a little bit natural as well. But if it's like a really tight pop track, then I will line them up either with vocal line or I work in Logic, and it's kind of got this like align function as well,
Oh, nice.
which is pretty good. Yeah, so with this one, I can show you what it's like without the vocal chain. Obviously, it's got tuning on. Here, I'll just show the leads.
Be mine, I'll save you. Bright lights blossoming in early June.
And then the first thing that's going on is like a bit of EQ. I've got RVox on there doing some compression and like a bit of noise gate. I love the SSL channel as well. C4, some multiband compression. And then one that's like a little bit of like secret sauce and feels illegal to use is OTT. I don't know if you guys know it. It's like
Yeah.
it's literally stands for over the top. So I blended in like maybe 3%.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
the,
just like
upward, downward.
yeah,
compression,
it's like
isn't
a
it? Like-
upward multiband upwards downwards compression is what it says it
Yeah,
is.
you-
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you just turn it on. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
but
yeah.
it
Turn it
sounds
on and
it
it
sounds
sounds good.
great.
And
it's
it's
just
free,
kinda,
right? I think
it's free. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. It's made by X for Records. Yeah, it's great. And then like a de-esser and some reverb. So then
Is that what are you tracking with that? All that on?
I track with most of it on. So C4 doesn't work in low latency for me. But then I'll just use a bit more OTT on the track vocal.
that
And
is just to get
an
it
RVox
sounding-
and SSL channel.
Oh,
But
wow,
that's
yeah.
literally all I use on
I feel like in Pro
Like
Tools that would
vocals.
crap it out.
It's fun,
possibly.
Yeah.
So that's without. It's just like really, it's really like bright and shiny and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and OTT makes such a big difference. I don't know if you can tell right now.
Take off all your clothes, let's do it in the
That's with it, and if you turn it all the way up, it sounds crazy.
Take off all your clothes, let's do it in the
Yeah.
Like it kind
The
of hurts
dogs
your
are
ears.
howling after
Yeah.
listening to it on.
I've not used it on vocals before.
It's
Have
great.
you used it?
Yeah.
What else have you used it on?
But people do it on all sorts. You can do
Yeah.
it on. If you put a little bit on the mix bus, that's supposed to be mental.
Yeah, you can blend it in like
Yeah.
1 or 2% on a mix bus. That sounds great. I don't do that anymore, but
Yeah,
you could do it.
It's like this, you
Yeah.
find it and you're like, this is the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
like,
coming
found
on
it.
everything.
I found the secret.
I
Yeah.
sound like a professional.
Yeah, this is too much. This is too. I've gone too far.
It's like, this is cheating. This is not fair to my peers. I can't do this.
And then on the BVs, because I usually have like a template where I've got the record track and then I've got like the bus of leads, which has the leads, the doubles, and the octaves.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a bus of BVs with these all have the same vocal chain on the bus. So I'll just put everything together for 2 reasons: to end save CPU, but also to, I don't know, I just feel like it sounds more together when it just gets processed together.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a spare, like a BV bus, which is usually I'll just have less high end on that to separate the BVs a bit more from the lead, obviously, and a bit more reverb on it, depending on what's needed, especially in this track, because there's so much going on. So this is the first layer of BVs here.
Oh, that's cool.
I
there's
like
like
that distorted vocal in there.
Yeah, so there's like the paddy BVs going on, and then like the kind of more crazy. Yeah, so there's that one.
What's doing that?
So that is reverb, and then Saturn.
Yeah.
Because I just love like the more than like elongates with the reverb, the more fucked up the distortion gets. And I really like that. And then I also use like a tremolator that kind of pans it left and right to sort of separate it. And I do that quite a lot with ad-libs, so it's like...
Moving around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So it moves around and you kind of like... It doesn't feel so like in one place, and it also doesn't blend too much with the lead that you can't really hear it. I feel like you can just kind of appreciate it more when it pans around. And then there's one other layer that is kind of just consistently saying like the tagline of the song. And then on some parts it like filters out a bit more. And so the filter moves to give it more space where there was more space needed in the song.
Are you automating that yourself, or are you kind of side chaining, or?
Here I've literally just put it on 2 separate tracks. I just, took it out because, I mean, you could have automated it, but
That's long.
this option was quicker.
Yeah. The thought of automation sometimes is just like,
I can just duplicate.
I could just do
Yeah.
this another way.
Yeah, because these are all like tracks bounced in place together in one. So it's actually one file, so it was really easy to separate. If they were all still together, I probably would have done the filter automation.
What's your go-to reverb? What do you...
Valhalla Vintage Verb.
Always such a classic, isn't it?
It really is.
It's
yeah.
That's just the answer I expect from everyone. It's
Yeah.
in a good way.
yeah.
Like
It's like the standard studio reverb. It's so true. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I think, honestly, the biggest thing about vocal production is mostly giving the artist the confidence and getting a good take and not doing... I never overdo it with takes. Because I feel like as an engineer at Harm, I kind of maybe did that a bit more, where I was like, especially starting out, I was like, oh, let's do more takes and more takes and more takes. And I would never really get better. It just gets like tired, or...
And you frustrate people as well.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I like to think like I'm the cool guy, like the cool teacher, It's like, no, it's fine, we've got this. What I mean? I don't want to push people. I see like, they were done 20 minutes ago, and you're watching that going, and it's like, so rarely have I ever seen that result in something good and usable.
Yeah.
That I was like, I'm not going to do that to somebody. Like,
No.
I understand like there's all these philosophies of like getting people in certain moods to do certain things, but for me, I just think you have to enjoy it and be there. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
kind of thing you're doing, whether it's a sad song, an angry song, a happy song. I think you still have to be comfortable and happy.
Yeah.
And when you're enjoying it, no matter how the delivery you want or whatever the delivery you want, I think you're going to be better if you're comfortable and happy rather than like pushing them too far.
Yeah, plus your voice just is going to get tired as
Yeah.
well, and your confidence is going to go down. You're not going to believe in the song as much or believe in what you're saying. So, I don't know. I usually feel like the first 2 takes are maybe like the warm-up ones. From take 3, you can probably start using it. So I feel like I don't usually do much more than maybe 7, probably less, like depending on how good the vocalist is. And
Speaking of confidence, would you comp with the artist in the room, or do you say
I comp
step
on the
out for a
go?
mo? Or
No, I'll just do it. I'll just do it quickly. I'm just very decisive with it. I'll just be like, okay, this sounds good.
cool.
Like, let's not overthink it. I also don't love comping like little
Single-
words from each takes. Like, it's no. I think it's either there or it's not. And yeah. And I try to do it like so quick that maybe the artist doesn't have time to overthink it either.
Yeah.
And then when once they hear it back, they're like, okay, this sounds fine.
yeah.
So, yeah, because I think once you start overthinking it, the artist is going to start overthinking it. So I feel like if you're confident with it, where I'm like, this is a take that sounds great, they're like, oh yeah, I do sound great.
Yeah.
And are you doing everything on your kind of writing sessions with the thought that this could be the final vocal? Like, was this this is the final vocals what you recorded when you were writing it? Or was there, like,
Yeah, it's usually,
you approach it all like this could be what goes out on the record?
yeah, actually, yeah,
Yeah,
always.
it's good.
Yeah. Sometimes it's gone like to like another, like when people have maybe, I don't know, I've had it a couple times that maybe people would record it with someone else in the studio when they're like maybe rewriting a little part and then they would do that.
Yeah.
But most of the time it ends up being like the final vocal. Yeah, I don't know. I also don't see why you would do it twice if all the emotion is there.
Totally.
Usually the demo is the best version. Well, not always, but like the demo vocals are often
Well, people
the ones for
get
me.
very attached to them, but then also I think when you're in that moment and you're writing it and you're feeling it, you feel that emotion. So then to then go back in and just do it with a better microphone or a better whatever, it's like, well, I can't get in that head frame, especially if it's a sad or an emotional song.
Yeah,
it's like,
for sure.
Well, I was feeling it then. I'm not feeling it now. I've had a great day. I don't need to be upset.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
So have you got like a booth in your studio, or are people in the room with you?
Yeah, it's just in the room, which I actually love because it feels way more intimate. Where it's like, oh, actually, can you just do this again? Or I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What mic are you using?
I use a TLM, Neumann TLM 10. I always forget this. Is it like the 103?
Yeah,
or the
there's like
102 or the
2s and 3s, they
104?
both look pretty similar, yeah. Is there a 4?
I don't know.
One of those.
Yeah, I
One
think
of
it's the
those.
102 or 103. It's like
The ones
yeah.
that are like quite stubby.
Yeah. But I really like it actually. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, they're great.
Well, they're
like a cheaper version of a U87.
it's like an 87
kinda.
with no polar patterns or changes, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just like that's it.
Yeah.
It's like a cardioid thing, and
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I love less is more.
Yeah.
It's like this is what you have. Great.
Yeah.
Have you got a nice vocal chain at home?
Not an outboard one. No, I just use my TLM going through an LA2A UAD software. So that's the only thing I'll commit to is recording with that compressor on, and then it goes into Logic.
Is that out of choice so that you can go anywhere and kind of get a good similar sound, or
Just I think so.
haven't got around to it?
I mean, a good like a nice outboard. Like it's nice. I don't think it's essential.
If you're in a different studio, would you use, and they had say like an LA2?
Yeah.
Would you use that, or would you stick with the Apollo?
No, I would definitely I'd use like a 1073 and preferably like a CL1B or something.
Yeah,
Like, just like the standard.
Yeah.
Like if it's there, I'll use it. But I feel like maybe at some point I'll think of buying it if I've bought everything else that I would like to buy.
Yeah, fair enough. It's not.
Then it's
priority
not.
for you.
No,
Yeah.
I'd rather buy like a synth or something.
No.
Than
Have you got a lot of
a
stuff like that,
compressor.
like instruments in the room?
Yeah, lots of guitars, a couple synths, but not like a crazy amount. No.
Just a
There's
few
always
things.
room for more.
Yeah. Always.
The addiction, sadly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just make space.
It's not
not
hanging
there.
things off the ceiling.
Yeah, exactly.
We can knock this wall down, I think.
Yeah, like
Put some more
who needs a
synths in
toilet? Like just just put it there.
there. So were you involved in this track through all of it? So did you produce the track as well?
Yeah.
So were you making... How far down the line did you do vocals?
This was all recorded, I believe, in the same day that I had the session with Maeve. So she brought in, I think, part of the song. I think she had like I think she wrote it like that morning or so. And then we kind of finished writing it together. And then we just kind of started putting all the guitars down, doing all the production. The production isn't all from one day, but all the vocals are from that one day, if I remember correctly. I mean, this is maybe 3 years old now, so it's a long time.
Well, if you can remember, do you think you knew the vocals were going to be a big part of the song?
Yeah.
So you kind of did it early to then everything to fit around that, or was it just kind of like...
Yeah, I'll
did
usually
you start
try...
the vocals and it just flew from there?
Yeah, that too. I feel like when you do fewer takes and you kind of know what you're going for, it doesn't have to take that long to record the vocals, and I like to get them all done on the day because... like the voice is such a temperamental instrument. Like one day it might sound completely different than the other, obviously. So, and in the space that you're in. So I'd like to get that done in a day because in production you can just always change around that. But I feel like the vocal is just like so important to get, preferably on the one day, where possible. So, yeah, that was all there, and then the production can kind of change around it.
Yeah.
But I think most of it was there, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Going back 3 years.
Yeah.
What's the first thing you put down then if you're doing a track? If you're a guitarist, do you reach for that early on?
Yeah, though I went through a phase of just like trying to get away from guitar because I was always playing the same chords or the same shapes or the same thing.
Yeah.
So I tried to do like synths and stuff instead. But that's kind of down to the artist, whatever they want to write and what serves the song. But usually it will be chords rather than like I'm not like a drums first kind of person most of the time. Yeah, because I find it harder to know what you're working towards when it's just drums. I find it harder to work that way around.
Do you think that's because you played guitar?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I would love to be a drums first kind of person.
Yeah.
Some people out there like, right, here we go.
I've seen it. And to be honest, I think like anything that I do the writing sessions, and I've done a few artists that I work with, and having a beat down or something. If we're like, well, we're going to write something a little bit more upbeat, having a drum beat down really helps me.
It really does.
Chords, just because it feels like it just sets the mood a little bit more.
Yeah.
But that's for me. But then I also like the first instrument I ever played was drums. Not that I do it very well, but so I think it's dictated by kind of what you played and what you grew up playing, I think.
True, but it's also like if you have drums in, it's like less likely to write like an accidental ballad.
Yeah.
Like that happens sometimes. I'm like, oh shit, am I writing a ballad?
Yeah,
Like,
it's an accidental
Quick,
ballad.
put in a kick
There's
drum.
got to be a button for that, hasn't there, to kind of stop it. Like, accidental ballad.
oh, I need that in my
And
studio.
the alarm goes off.
Yeah.
Could I hear it? Can we hear it again?
Yeah,
Well, now you've
sure.
kind of talked us through it. I'd love to.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could just hear just the vocals. That would be kind of interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I'll play it from the same place.
Hey, you're so cool. Eyes blue. If you go to see Hyper, baby, we're in Hyperbloom. Be mine, I'll save you. Bright lights, blossoming in early dream. Baby, we're in Take a flight, close the street in the backseat. I don't wanna talk, just wanna see you badly. I've been up all night like a current bad dream. I don't believe in serendipity, but just kiss me.
I love hearing just acapella stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or I could just listen to or like anything.
Yeah, I love acapellas. It's
The
true.
stacks are so good.
Why are we doing instruments at all? Like,
Yeah, for it, actually. Yeah, I love this. So when you go in and you start doing stacks, do you know kind of where you want it to go, or is it just like, let's try another one, let's try another harmony, until it's like, nah, that's too much, or until you run out of harmonies, or...
Yeah, it's mostly that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we think of
I love
any
doing
more?
harmonies. It's like, but then sometimes when you do harmonies, that's also when you realize actually it sounded better in unison.
Yeah.
Would you rather do more and then take away, rather than like,
I'd rather
come to it
think
later on?
about it rather than put in all the work and then take away. But sometimes you just only hear it once you've already done it.
Yeah.
But I love like intentional recording, but I do it with harmonies once I then start doing harmonies. I like just adding loads.
Do you think there's
'Cause
something about
why
like
not?
different voices together, or do you tend to
Mm-hmm.
always, if you're working on a track, stack the artist's the one voice many times?
Yeah, usually that. Unless we're really trying to get like a gang vocal or something, then it would be obviously different
Yeah,
voices. But I just love how someone sounds harmonizing to themselves
Yeah.
with like so many tracks. Like
Well,
it's
quite
just beautiful.
From playing that, it's quite like a. All those BVs seem to create like quite a pad, almost,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a synth pad
Mm-hmm.
that feels like it would take up kind of a decent amount of space in a
Mm-hmm.
mix or a production
Mm-hmm.
in a cool way. Like it sounds great,
Mm.
but definitely something that if you were to take all those away, it would make a huge difference. Like
Yeah.
it's such,
Yeah,
like
that's
it's
true.
such a big
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
Like those
Yeah.
kind of long reverb tails and
Yeah, it's true. It was definitely like with this, it's it's can get kind of hard to mix it all in together and still actually hear everything. I mean, there's probably still room for improvement because with all this, I just mix it myself and we just got it mastered at some point. So like I'm not like a mixing engineer, so it probably could have been better. But yeah, again, it really depends on the song whether that can work or not.
yeah.
I
Well, you
feel
were
like
saying
here it
before
kind of
about-
works. Plus, it's an outro, so
Yeah.
it's like okay, here we've heard every element of the song already in this song. I
Oh,
mean,
this
you
is the
didn't
outro.
hear.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
this
you.
is this is the
yeah.
end of the song basically. So it's just kind of like parts overlapping. Like there's like the hook overlapping with like the pre is what
Yeah.
you're hearing at the end. It's kind of like almost like kind of what Taylor Swift does sometimes, when it's like when you hear a part of the song back in the outro and it kind of you've already
Yeah.
heard it. So
Yeah.
I feel like
I
then you
love
can
that.
also get away with more because everyone already knows what the part sounds like. So you're more
Mm.
likely to hear it in the mix, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I guess if it was just all new parts stacked together, I don't think it would have worked that well. That might be a bit too chaotic, but
Yeah, kind
Well,
of
that
like
was
payoff at the end.
yeah,
If you
I
heard
feel
all
like
these
in
bits
context it
separately-
makes sense,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like the
totally.
big like end, I guess.
If that
but-
was the first chorus, no one knows what's
Yeah, no.
going on there. Like, wow, this is huge, but yeah.
Yeah, no,
that
it's
makes a lot of
no.
sense. But that is somewhat like then. So yeah, I suppose. Was there any other instruments that did that as well? Kind of through it, or was that just like a vocal thing and a decision? And how early on were you kind of thinking about all this? Because you say you started and you finished writing the song in the morning, or before you did these vocals. With the vocals and kind of doing this, they're like, oh, this song needs to just be a huge stacked vocal kind of thing.
I think that kind of just came as
Just naturally.
yeah, along where it's like, oh, okay, where should this go? Like it always like felt quite like epic, like the melodies and where it was going and stuff. So it did feel natural to go there, and I feel like at some point we maybe even accidentally overlapped the pre with the post or like something, or we're like, oh, what if that melody comes back? And then I don't know, it was all just kind of decisions on the way. Like
Yeah.
I think whatever feels natural.
Yeah, just kind of throwing things at the wall and just changing things and trying things.
yeah.
But it's those
Yeah.
little things like that. It's kind of, I guess, for people who might be listening in, who want to know about, who listen to what people's techniques are. Things like bringing stuff back again. It's the kind of thing that once you know it, and it's great, and you pick it up. Like as you kind of go through your career, sitting at the back of rooms, watching other people work, you can pick up this stuff. But
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
true.
trying to just figure it out from the start, somebody just saying, "Oh yeah," and we kind of this week was a chance to bring back elements from different parts of the thing and put them together, and then that's how they worked in the outro.
Yeah.
That might just inspire someone to think, "Oh, cool! I hadn't thought about that. I thought like it was this and that bit, and then that was it."
Yeah. I think
Hopefully.
sometimes what you're
That'd be
saying
great.
it's just like I think you watch and read so many things as like you're going through your career and you're like it can't be that simple as just like this is just how it happened or whatever. It's like it's not that simple. It's
Yeah,
like, it kind of actually is, but you've just
Yeah.
got to be kind of, as we said at the start, you've got to be persistent and you've got to be doing it
Yeah,
and
it's
just
all
being in the
informed.
room and just letting yourself be creative and letting yourself go.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen.
Yeah. I
Decisions
think also
of-
don't overthink it too much because that kind of takes the fun
Yeah.
out of it
Yeah.
too.
But I think it's so easy, especially when you like start at university, to hear people say that in an interview and like, you're lying. That's a lie. That sounds too good to not be thought about. But
Yeah.
it's not, it's the opposite.
It's all informed by experience, though, right?
Yeah, of
I
course,
guess. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can do these things sometimes, and you know where you can play around because of past experiences. That's worked before. That's worked before, and then you learn from that. So
Yeah.
it all kind of pays into it.
That's true. I feel like sometimes it is like not necessarily quantity over quality, but I feel like I used to, like when I first went to uni, I used to spend like 3 months on a track and I'd just polish it and change it. And now it's like maybe a track a day and it's like kind of there. And I feel like from that, I'm not saying that then the quality gets less because it doesn't. I guess you just get quicker, but because of the quantity, you get less attached to ideas and it's like less pressure on like, oh my God, this idea has to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's like, just start another one and,
Yeah.
see how that goes. But
I guess being able to make quick decisions as well. Like if something doesn't work, the skill is knowing when to be like, oh, cool, let's try that over this.
Yeah.
And then be like, no, that was
Yeah,
one too
never
many.
mind.
We've gone too far.
yeah.
I think a lot of it in this creative process, especially in music, I feel is kind of your initial reaction is usually the best one.
Yeah.
And it, there's been loads of mixes I've done where in like the first 3 hours it's like, this sounds great. Fast forward another 3 hours and I pulled it all apart and it sounds horrendous. You're like,
Yeah.
because those 3 hours are me just vibing, going for it, and then the other 3 was me questioning everything and making it sound rubbish. And
Put
then
an
go back,
OTT on everything.
yeah, and then that'll fix it all. Put
Yeah,
OTT
yeah,
on
yeah.
it and it's fixed.
Yeah. But I feel like every song kind of you go through that though. Like every session, I feel like I go through it quicker now, but every session I still love the idea. Then I'm like, oh my God, I hate this. This is shit. Can I maybe become an electrician instead?
yeah.
And then I find the key to
Yeah.
the song, and I'm like, oh, okay, I like it again.
Yeah, I
but it's
think-
like it's always
I
that.
think just a break. Also, there'll be times I'll be on session. I know, like we'll have the day, and it'll be like, I've not done anything, but this sounded great 10 minutes ago. Now it doesn't sound great, but I haven't
Yeah.
changed anything. And then an hour later, I'll be like, oh, this sounds great again. And it's just like,
And it probably meant you were hungry.
yeah, 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
But I watched an interview with someone as well, and they were talking. I think they were talking about working with Brian Eno, and he was like, he was just learning so much of the process. He was just like, he'd change something or do something, and like, I'm not sure if that's right or not. And then they'd sit with it and they'd have a chat for 10, 15 minutes, and then he'd be like, oh yeah, let's listen to that again. And he'd be like, oh, that does sound great now.
Yeah.
And Brian Eno's like, yeah, we just weren't used to it.
Yeah.
That was like
Yeah.
quite an interesting thing as well.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. It's just like, we just had a chat and then it sounded great. And I was
Yeah.
like, you just weren't used to it. That was all.
I'm
I was
going to
like,
start saying that to people. I'm going to put things in and be like,
Yeah.
really bad things. And they'll be like, that sounds bad. No.
Just have to
No,
get
you're
used to it.
just not used to it. Put the wrong. I
Let's
mean,
go have some lunch. We'll come back.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, damn.
Still shit.
That's bad.
Yeah. But we're not Brian Eno, are we? So that's the problem.
Damn it.
My bad, guys. I thought I was just hungry, but no.
Yeah, no. Turns out I'm rubbish. Okay, so we got some wider questions for this, just to wrap it all up.
Mm-hmm.
One thing in the studio you can't live without, but it doesn't have to be equipment either.
Okay.
It could be anything.
My laptop.
guess.
That is a logical
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or coffee.
I could probably
One of
go
the two.
without it. I think a warm beverage is one I probably couldn't go without, whether it's tea or coffee.
What was the summer?
Iced coffee.
Ice
No,
cream, yeah,
it's
true,
because most studios are quite air conditioned, so you can put it down chilly, so you can
Yeah,
enjoy the
that's
hot
true.
drink.
That's so true.
I like always kind of having something to drink on the go,
Yeah.
and it can't be booze because I was like that. The session's out the window then.
I can't live in the studio without a nice glass of red wine. Drinking on the job? Something you do? If you're at home.
No, I don't actually
home studio,
drink
you don't have to
anymore.
go anywhere.
No, I'm not. I don't really drink.
Now I'm engineering and producing. I will, if the artist is. But as an assistant, someone put the fry, like really scared me with it. It was like, you don't drink it unless it's like there's obviously common sense in this as well, but it's just like, maybe don't while you're working, because they had a situation where they were assisting and they had like one beer and things went wrong. And the client was like, it's your fault, you've been drinking, like, you've messed up.
Shit.
And I was like, I don't want that to ever happen to me.
Oh my God, no.
So I was like, unless, like, yeah, as I got further onto my career, I would maybe have one, but I would never go crazy. But it
I
was
feel like as an assistant, we kind of did, though.
yeah.
But then, you know, when Guinness kind of looks like coffee.
Yeah.
Like, if it had been like a long day and like the hours are so long, and then
Yeah.
we just kind of had like a little coffee mug with
Yeah.
Guinness, but
No, that one story.
But no one
scared
saw.
me. No one saw. It kind of smells like coffee as well. You know, it's fine.
Right.
That one story, like, scared me. And it's such an
Yeah, fair.
outrageous story. And, like, they must have been the worst clients ever. And it just stuck with me. And I was like, I'm never having that then. I'm not going to do that. It was like my first week into the job. And
okay,
this
so you've been
sounds-
put off from the start.
Yeah,
like, oh my
yeah.
God.
Just like, I don't want that to happen to me. So I was like, yeah, I'm not doing it.
I do the opposite, actually. I drink my coffee out of a Guinness mug.
Out of a Guinness glass. Right.
People
Keep them
walk
on their
in.
toes.
Yeah. See. Best piece of advice / tip you got from someone else?
This one's from my friend Lauren Dalia. She's a vocal producer. And she once said, network sideways rather than upwards,
Okay.
which I thought was really, I don't know, it just kind of stuck by me, because I feel like it does work that way when you kind of just like are friends with the people around you and you get to the next level, you know who you're there with. And I feel like the people around you are so much more likely to help you than the people above you, quote unquote, above, doing you like a favor, trying to help you up.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like that's just less
everyone rises
likely.
Together.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. It's like, I don't know, it creates more of a community as well. I thought that was really good advice.
Yeah, I like
That's
that.
really good advice. I like that.
Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
Gonna do
next
your
one.
job.
But you're doing such a great job of reading it. What was the last piece of gear you bought?
Oh, an OP1 Field.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Is that the one that looks like a calculator? Oh no, am I imagining that? What's the?
I don't know, people call it like a hipster synth,
Yeah.
which is, it's not untrue. It kind of is like as if Apple made a synth. That's kind of what it looks like.
No.
Like a little toy. Like,
I think I did.
The OP1 Field. What's that
Oh no,
difference?
the OP1. That's the like.
The OP
the
with
long
it's
keys.
like, yeah, it looks pretty much the same, except it has like the, you know, like the metal kind of, it kind of looks like
yeah,
an
I think
Apple
I do
product
know,
actually.
yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And it's like maybe more of like the hi-fi version, and the OP1 is more like the lo-fi version.
Right, okay.
Yeah, it's just like kind of like a fun toy.
Yeah.
That's so
Sounds
cool.
like-
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, I've known people who make just like whole albums just using
I know.
Yeah,
those
true.
sounds.
It's so powerful.
So much in
Yeah.
there, and you can do a lot of sampling on it as well, can't you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun. And it's also good to then get the artist like involved and like
Yeah.
letting them record like
Sing
a
into this.
sample and then
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. That
Don't sample that.
basically.
That needs to be we should make a track out of you doing that. What's the most random thing you've ever been asked to record?
The most random thing I've been asked to record.
I don't think I've actually had that, unless I said something before, but I can't think of anything off the bat. That was weird.
You mean like an instrument?
Oh,
like
it was
a
just like
sound?
those camel hoof trimmings. That was a bit weird, but they were just used as percussion. But I suppose if you think of anything,
Wow, that
else,
is kind of weird.
It's kind of weird, yeah.
but it is a piece of percussion. You can make percussion out of anything, really.
Yeah, but where do you get camel hoof trimmings?
I don't know. It was a
I think that's the more
drummer
pressing
was
question.
on a world tour and just kind of picked up loads of things from wherever. So
Sick.
yeah,
I love
cool,
that.
man.
Imagine taking those back through customs, though.
Yeah.
What are these for?
gotta
Yeah,
do
shaking,
that.
I guess.
They sounded cool. It didn't go down well. I don't know if you're still going, but it didn't go well when I was trying to submit the samples to Splice under Camel Toe. I didn't know what else to call them. I don't know what else to call them.
That's so
And they
funny.
came back and they're like, "You can't call it that. You need to think of something else." I was like, "But that's what they are."
But it is what it is. Like
Yeah, literally is what it is.
Do they have toes?
camel hoof.
Camel hoof? I don't know.
Who
Oh, they
knows?
have the two hooves. Like,
Yeah, it is. I don't know. I didn't know what to call. I really didn't know. Now when you say it out loud, it was actually quite dumb.
Yeah.
At the time when you'd been doing the same thing all day trying to label samples, you're like, I haven't got a clue. My mind was blank at that point.
Camel foot,
maybe. Not sure that can go in, but it was funny. Most random thing.
I don't know if I have any, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the most random things are probably just like someone who's like really rich who wants to go into the studio to record a song, but then isn't like necessarily that good.
They do turn out to be weird.
Yeah. Like maybe a few of those, but nothing like too crazy.
Yeah.
Sorry. I wish I had a better story.
Yeah.
I wish I had I don't know.
All right. What's your studio icebreaker? So I guess like when you meet someone for the first time, how do you break the ice? Have you got like a go-to question?
Oh my god.
You said coffee already. So
yeah.
I won't say that again.
I feel like it's just a how are you? Like a genuine like what's
Yeah.
like not just like, oh, how are you? Oh, good, how are you? Like an actual genuine
look them deep in the
interest.
eyes. So
yeah, how are you?
Really?
I don't know. I wish I had a better answer. I don't really know.
No,
it's good.
It's a good one.
The question goes deep.
Yeah. But it's a genuine how are you, not a you're right. That's a good answer.
We've had, because we've done a number of these now. We didn't realise immediately, but for the last 3 people, we had this great idea where we're basically starting a recording chain,
Right.
and we're asking our guests now to add another piece to the chain.
Okay.
So we started off with Dan Moyler, and he was basically picking he could have said anything, but he chose like a source, like a sound.
Okay.
So the first thing in the chain is an Etch-a-Sketch. Do you know Etch-a-Sketch?
No.
So those red things with the 2 knobs that you twist to draw a pattern on them, and you shake them to get rid of the picture. It basically doesn't make.
And that's what we're recording.
That's what we're recording.
It doesn't make a lot of noise. It's a very annoying one.
Oh.
But you could shake it. The shaking would be a
the shaking.
good sound.
And there'd be a little when you're doing it, like. Might be a little
That's
bit
so
noise.
creative.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But he's got to play it.
Yeah,
That was the thing. So Dan Moyler's playing using the Etch-a-Sketch.
Wow.
And we had Richie Kennedy, who decided to mic it up, but he's not miking up the Etch-a-Sketch. He's miking up the person playing the Etch-a-Sketch with a little lapel mic.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, you're getting the idea. You can do whatever you want with this. And then Amy, who was our last guest, decided that lapel mic would then be being fed into a Fender amp of some kind, like a Fender Twin.
Oh, that's so fun.
So we've got an Etch-a-Sketch with a lapel mic being fed into a Fender amp of some kind. Now you could do whatever you want at this point.
Ah. Okay.
Just somehow, at some point, we're going to try and
do this.
Recreate this. When it gets to some kind of conclusion, we're actually going to make this happen.
Great.
In some way.
I feel like it could go through like maybe like a space echo or something, like some crazy delay, something.
So on the way into the amp, going through some kind of...
No, like from the amp, or do you have to then, I guess,
whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Yeah.
I'll throw it, yeah. If you want to do that, we can figure it out.
So then something like a mic into a space echo?
So is this like after? Yeah, so like the amp gets mic'd up and then going into like...
Yeah, whatever you want to do.
Okay. But it has to be after it.
Yeah. After the amp,
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for the space echo. That'd be fun. Like on a crazy setting.
Cool.
Like something insane.
Some kind of feedback.
Well, no, because now you said it like this, we basically got to get it out of the amp into the space echo. We've got to figure out that.
Yeah, well, I guess you could just...
Yeah, mic it up or...
Yeah.
Well, no, the
space echo's got a mic.
You can have an out. Oh, yeah.
Input, doesn't it?
Well, you can have an out of the... There's a speaker out of the Fender Twin.
That seems wild. That feels like that would blow something up.
Good luck.
That's the game.
All right,
that's the game.
It's going to happen somehow.
We're going to figure it out somehow. We might have to.
Or we could split the lapel mic so it goes through the Fender and the space echo at the same time.
Oh yeah, we could have a little wet dry signal.
Okay.
Your choice though. You're the the dealer here.
I feel like just commit to the space echo. Because I feel like then it might sound terrible. It probably will sound terrible, but maybe there would be something really cool, and
that's
it's like some sound designy shit.
So going, it's staying all kind of mic, Etch Sketch, mic, amp,
Yes.
Space Echo, and then we're going to have to go out of that into some kind of...
Yes.
Eventually end up in a recording situation of some kind.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just finish this off because...
Yeah, are you guys going to add something to this?
Well,
to
I
this
just
chain
go
as well?
sensible and just make sure then it goes into a 1073 from the Space Echo DI'd into 1073. Like the front panel. And you can do whatever you want with it.
So I have to add something.
Yeah, then we finish and
Theoretically.
then next season.
And then we're presuming... I'm not going to say just like Pro Tools because that's boring. What I mean is it would be...
Yeah.
I'll
Pro
do
Tools
something
is
and then
inevitable.
we'll presume that's going to happen at the
yeah,
end.
Pro Tools is inevitable.
So...
Yeah, I'm going to go nice. You know, all this deserves a 1073.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Why
a
not?
solid choice. And it does need to get to Pro Tools somehow. Because
Yeah, take one for the team.
Yeah, I'm gonna use mine just to make sure we get on our
Are
way.
you putting any settings on your 1073?
I mean,
You've got
I'll-
quite a lot going on there.
I'm gonna boost a bit of top end.
Boost a bit of top end.
You don't want to like drive it up or something.
Oh
or-
no, reasonable level, just a nice safe level with just a little bit of top end boost.
It's very responsible of you.
Yeah.
Well, someone's got to because it's gone from a lapel into a Fender Twin and then into
It's already
an-
gone through
yeah,
a lot.
It's
Yeah.
gone through a lot. Someone's got to do this responsibly.
I'm going to put it through, to kind of come full circle here, the Listen mic compressor on the SSL.
Jesus,
You know that?
it's gonna be so nice.
They've got this kind of, SSLs have got quite a very, like a smashy
Okay.
limiting kind of compressor circuit built into them that was originally for like the Listen mics you put up in the room. There's a button on there.
Oh, okay.
So you could just hear the conversation between takes. But then they discovered it sounded really good, so people found a way of
Oh, I love
recording
that.
through it.
I think there's like
So-
a 500 series version of the circuitry in it as well.
I think there
Oh,
is a
sick.
500 series one, yeah, and a few people. There's like a few plugins that emulate
Yeah.
it, and
Oh, I
there's
didn't know
ones
that.
like I guess it's kind of like no, not quite. I was gonna say like the
The level up.
level or, but that's more like a level lock.
Yeah, it's the same vibe though. It smashes that way,
Great.
but it's cool.
So there we go.
Sounds
Smash
great.
it up at the
Yeah.
end.
Smash it over there.
Love
Like,
it.
remove any transients we might have.
Okay,
accidentally
so
let go.
Yes.
Dan Moyler playing the Etch-a-Sketch with a lapel mic on his t-shirt, jacket. Amy Sargent wanted to go to the Fender Twin,
Yeah. Oh, Twin, it is Twin. I
Yeah.
just read that. I just said Fender out.
and then Gabriëlle wanted us into the Space Echo, so we got to figure that one out.
I mean, I guess with a mic through the space. I don't know.
Yeah.
However you can.
I
get it
like
in
the
there,
thought
like-
of trying to figure this out. Just going straight out of that amp into the thing.
Subcone.
Yeah, we can figure something out. Then I'm going to be sensible and put it through a 1073, reasonable level, just with a little bit of top end boosted.
And I'm gonna smash it.
You're going to smash it through that, and then it's going into
Perfect.
Pro Tools. Okay.
I'm so curious.
And that'll be available on our SoundCloud.
Yeah.
All proceeds going to.
We need to see when Dan Moyler's available.
Get it on Splice with the camel toe. Just a sample pack on the two.
The camel toe and an Etch-a-Sketch. What else do you need? I think that's the start of a hit.
Right?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Sounds like a
Well,
challenge.
I think
And
that's
then the challenge is that we all have to try and get that sound into a production somehow.
yeah.
I'm so down.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's going to be some kind of, I guess if it's an Etch Sketch, it could become some kind of percussion-y kind of thing. But if we can get that into a... First person to get it into a released thing
Yeah.
wins.
Perfect.
Maybe
This is
maybe
good.
we should release it as a sample for free and
Self-releasing.
see who can make the greatest thing out of it. And they all win a Freddo.
Freddo.
Whoever's the best one is
Wow.
will get Freddo.
Or one of these lovely.
Yeah.
Another
We're giving
take.
away merch now.
And a signed chopping board.
It's pretty
Can't
good.
steal that
Pretty
idea.
solid.
It's now available on our Etsy. Well, I think that feels like a good place to wrap up, really.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much
guys.
for coming.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for
Been great
having
to
me.
meet you.
And
I don't think we've met before, have we?
I don't think so.
No, that'd have been awkward at this moment.
Like actually,
Actually.
we went to school together.
Oh, damn.
All right, well, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks. Bye. Thank you.
Done.
Great. Thanks, guys.